Welcome back
to Marriage Beyond the Veil. Well, we're in Oscar season, and so Fred and I are trying to watch all the Best Picture nominees.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we've seen several. But when I was thinking about, a post as we get towards the end of the month, we only have one more day after today, I thought, some of these had some really interesting love stories. Yes. So we have Killers of the Flower Moon, which was really, really good. There was a very interesting love story there. And then also Maestro. And then Barbie had a love story, but we didn't see Barbie. We probably won't see Barbie. But anyway, so Maestro had a really interesting love story in that it was, to me, a more I love you, but it was a marriage of...
Well, it was a marriage of great acceptance.
Yeah, exactly.
Acceptance.
Yeah. And, I love you regardless of...
I love you despite you.
I love you despite... Yeah, just sort of like I love you despite you.
She really loved him.
She did.
And I think he really loved her.
He did too. He really did. I don't want to give anything movie away, but there are times when you see that he has to adjust who people think he is in order to take care of her. And likewise for her, she has to make some concessions, and all this while shielding most of their lives from their children. And then, of course, we have Killers of the Flower Moon. Again, you deal with a very complex love story because I do believe that he loved her.
I believe so as well.
At the beginning, but I think because of maybe his intellect and lack thereof intellect, and also just the pressures of society,
and a very strong uncle.
Family. And we talked about that on the Family in Your Business. It ended very tragically, to say the least. Mm-hmm. But I say all that to say, in a love relationships can be very different, and I don't think that there's any one type of love in that respect, because I do believe that all of these people loved each other on some level. And to say, well, they should never have gotten married, or that's not what marriage is, I beg to differ.
Well, what I hear you saying is there's not a one size fits all.
Right.
One size fits one couple. Mm-hmm. What works for us may not work for you.
Yeah.
And vice versa. But the love needs to be authentic. Mm-hmm. The love needs to be genuine. Now, how persons live out their lives and the commitments that they make to one another, and what they're willing to sacrifice, what they're willing to entertain, all of that, are choices that people make.
Yeah. And my twin said to me today, she said, because she finished watching Maestro. Okay. And she said, oh my goodness. She said, I see all of this love from these people, and what I see is that they accept them for who they are in the way that they are. They're not trying to change them. They're not trying to remold them. They're just saying, this is who I am. And I understand you and I accept you. And that is the one thing. And I've said that on the blog before. I appreciate the fact that he understands and accepts me for who I am.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about a love relationship, you don't get to manufacture who you're in love with. If you really want something that's going to be meaningful, something that's going to be significant, something that will last, you and we've addressed this, you have to be willing to address embrace the totality of who you are and who this other person is, and love them for who they are. Warts and all.
That's right.
Because we all have our idiosyncrasies. We all have our frailties. We all are flawed. That's just the reality. And if you think otherwise about the person that you goo-goo eyes over, just keep living.
Yeah. And so the story of us, which is one of our favorite tools for marriage counseling, and that's a prime example of just having to accept a person for who they are.
Even the things that drive you nuts, because certain things don't change. So you have to say, okay, how important is this in the scheme of things?
Exactly.
And, getting back to the story of us, one of the things that you do in a marriage, you kind of perfect a dance.
Yes.
with your partner, and so you learn you learn the choreography, right?
Yes, you do.
And it can be a beautiful dance. And others may not understand how you're dancing,
Exactly.
but it's not any of their business. Let them do their dance. You do your dance.
And in any dance, you will sometimes step on each other's toes. But does that mean you stop dancing?
No, you just protect your toes.
Exactly. Steel toe boots.
I was going to say the same thing. Still married too long.
Yeah.
So, until tomorrow, if the Lord says the same.
Have a great evening.